Paris, 1789. A city that looks alive on the surface, but underneath, something is already shifting. The streets are warm with morning light. Bread is being baked. Voices echo through narrow alleys. Everything looks normal, almost too normal. Because revolutions never begin where people are looking. They begin in the space between moments, in hesitation, in silence, in things people choose not to say out loud. At first, it's just life. A merchant opening his shop, a child running through a market, a woman counting coins she already knows are not enough. Nothing dramatic, nothing historical. And yet, something is changing. Not in the buildings, not in the streets, but in the people. A question is forming, small at first, almost invisible, but once it appears, it spreads. What if this isn't how things have to be? And once a city starts asking that
Paris
question,
in
it never
1789
really stops.
is not yet a revolution. It is a pressure system, invisible but constant. People wake up not thinking about change, but about survival. How to eat, how to work, how to get through another day. But survival has a limit, and that limit is getting closer. You can feel it in conversations that stop when someone approaches, in glances that last too long, in silence that feels heavier than words, and in something even more dangerous than anger, awareness. People are beginning to notice each other, really notice, and once you see someone suffering, it becomes harder to ignore your own condition. Ideas begin to circulate, not loudly, not publicly, but like currents beneath water. Freedom, equality, justice, words that should mean nothing, but suddenly mean everything. And here is what no one realizes yet. Ideas do not stay contained. They travel. They connect people who have never met, and slowly
At
they
first,
begin to think
it is just
as one.
conversation. In taverns, in back rooms, in corners of streets where voices drop to whispers. People speak carefully because words now carry weight, too much weight. Pamphlets begin to appear, folded paper passed quickly between hands, read in silence, each one carrying something dangerous, not violence, not weapons, but possibility. The possibility that the world is not fixed. And once that thought enters a mind, it does not leave easily. People begin to change, not all at once, not visibly, but internally. A quiet transformation. Someone who never questioned authority starts hesitating. Someone who never spoke starts listening differently. Someone who always accepted life starts resisting it in thought. And then something happens that changes everything. People begin to find each other. Strangers who think the same way start standing closer, longer, and closer still, until distance disappears. And when distance disappears, individuals begin to dissolve into something larger. A group.
A crowd is not
A
just
gathering.
people standing together.
A crowd.
It is something else, something unstable, something alive. At first, each person still thinks individually, but slowly, emotion spreads faster than thought. Fear becomes shared. Anger becomes shared. Hope becomes shared. And once emotions synchronize, identity begins to blur. You are no longer just yourself. You are part of a moving system. And systems behave differently than individuals. They accelerate, they amplify, they react. A crowd does not ask, should we? It asks only, what now? And that question has no brakes, because now there is momentum, and momentum is difficult to stop once it begins. A man raises his voice,
Others follow. A chant begins, not organized, not planned, but inevitable. And once sound becomes unified, action is not far behind.
July 14th. The air is different, heavier, tense in a way that cannot be explained, only felt. The city is no longer a place of daily life. It has become a direction. Everything is moving toward one point. The Bastille, a fortress, a prison, a symbol. For years, it stood as something unmovable, untouchable. But symbols are fragile things. They only exist as long as people believe in them. And belief is already weakening. The crowd arrives slowly at first, then faster, then all at once. No one gives orders, no one controls direction, and yet everyone moves together. This is where individuals disappear completely, because in a crowd this size, choice feels like alignment, and alignment feels like inevitability. Someone throws a stone, not because they were told to, but because they were already moving in that direction. And that is enough. The first impact breaks something deeper than wood or stone. It breaks hesitation. And once hesitation breaks, everything else follows.
The gates begin to shake, then crack, then fail. Not in a single moment, but in a sequence of irreversible steps, each one smaller than the last, but together unstoppable. The crowd does not stop. It cannot, because at this point, stopping would mean returning, and returning is no longer possible. Inside the Bastille, defenders realize something too late. They are not facing an army. They are facing momentum. And momentum does not negotiate. It only moves forward. The gates collapse. The barrier is gone. And the crowd enters, not as individuals, but as force. Inside, everything becomes fragmented, shouting, running, confusion, firelight. And in the center of it all, something unexpected happens. People begin to see each other again, not as a crowd, but as individuals. Too late to stop anything, too late to change direction. Only enough time to understand what has already been done.
And then it ends. Not with victory, not with defeat, but with silence. The kind of silence that follows irreversible change. Smoke rises above the Bastille. The structure that once symbolized control now collapses into memory. People stand still, breathing heavily, looking around as if waking from something they did not fully understand. Some feel triumph. Some feel emptiness. Some feel nothing at all yet, because meaning takes time to arrive after chaos. And in that moment, a realization begins to form. This was not just an event, it was a transformation, not of buildings, not of power, but of something deeper, human behavior itself. Because once people discover they can move as one, they never forget it. And the question remains, still unanswered, still alive. When individuals become a crowd, do they gain power or lose themselves? And history does not answer. It only continues.
But something strange happens after the noise fades, because silence is never empty. It is full of what just happened. The streets of Paris are no longer moving with purpose. They are drifting, like a body that has lost direction. People stand in groups, but no longer as a crowd. The energy that once connected them is gone, and what remains is something more fragile. Individuals again, but not the same individuals as before. They look around as if trying to understand what part of them was acting just moments ago. Some cannot speak, some laugh nervously, some simply stare at their hands as if they belong to someone else. And slowly, a realization begins to settle. It is easier to become part of something than to understand what you became inside it.
The Bastille has fallen. That fact spreads quickly through the city. But it does not feel like victory. Not yet. Instead, it feels unfinished, like a sentence that was spoken too loudly and now echoes back without meaning. People expected something to change instantly, but the world does not change instantly. It absorbs change slowly, like water sinking into stone. And so Paris remains suspended between two states, what it was and what it is becoming. In the streets, voices return, but softer now, less certain, because once you have seen what a crowd can do, you begin to wonder what else it might become capable of.
The question returns. The same question that started everything. But now it sounds different, heavier, less hopeful, more dangerous. Was this freedom? Or was it something else wearing the shape of freedom? Because power has changed hands, but not yet form. And when power changes form, it does not always become gentler. People begin to realize something uncomfortable. They did not just break a prison, they released a force. And now that force no longer belongs to anyone. Not kings, not leaders, not even the people who created it. It belongs to movement itself. Paris stands at the edge of something undefined. Not an ending, not a beginning, but a transition that no one fully understands yet. The Bastille is gone, but the question remains. More important than before, more dangerous than before. When people become a crowd, and a crowd becomes power, what exactly is being created? Freedom? Or something that only looks like it until it starts moving on its own? And in that uncertainty, history continues, quietly, without permission, without pause, without
Time
asking.
does what it always does. It moves forward, carrying everything with it, but never quite letting anything go. Days pass, then weeks, and Paris begins to look alive again. Markets reopen, voices return, footsteps fill the streets once more. From the outside, it almost seems like nothing happened, but something has changed. Something that cannot be seen in buildings or measured in numbers, something that exists only in people. Because once a person has stood inside a moment like that, they carry it with them, in the way they speak, in the way they hesitate, in the way they look at others. There is a new awareness now, a quiet understanding that did not exist before, that power is not always where it appears to be, and that control can dissolve faster than anyone expects. But with that understanding comes something else, uncertainty. Because if power can shift once, it can shift again, and again, and again, until no one is entirely sure where it truly belongs. This is the part history rarely shows clearly. Not the event itself, but the echo it leaves behind. The way it reshapes how people think, how they trust, how they fear. Because revolutions do not end when structures fall. They continue inside the minds of those who witness them. And inside those minds, something keeps moving, quietly, slowly, relentlessly. The same force that once brought people together now waits, watching, listening, for the next moment when conditions feel just right. Because it always returns, not in the same form, not in the same place, but with the same question, the same tension, the same fragile balance.